solve large, intractable problems.
It's a new venture altogether.
Your brain is a wild horse there.
Because remember, writing is not a team sport.
You are not selling horse carriages when there are cars.
I want to be known only as the trusted advisor.
More like a tourist.
Play to Potential podcast.
I want to take you back in time, Sudhir, close to 2 decades back when we were in IIMA, and you referred to Professor A.K. Jain and the book, and we were in the same section, and we witnessed some of his marketing genius. You speak about getting the problem right, problem definition right. Talk to us a little bit about what you mean by that in the context of business and marketing.
Yeah.
But maybe if you could also reflect a little bit on how you've applied that in your journey.
Yeah. No, DJ, the HUL and IIMA firstly have a very, and I realized this only when I was researching the book, a very deep relationship. So PL Tandon, who was our first Indian chairman, was one of the founders along with Ravi Mathai of IIMA. So he was right up there. And the person who is sort of credited along with Professor A.K. Jain of building the marketing faculty in IIM Ahmedabad is Labdhi Bhandari, who a lot of people, he was an HUL brand manager. So in marketing, in some ways, the IIMA way of thinking and the HUL way of thinking, as I've realized, having been to both, are kind of very similar. And at the heart of it is problem definition. It's always more difficult to define a problem than to solve it. And you can always get people to solve problems. And a lot of our time in our education, a lot of us try and focus on being problem solvers. But the difficult thing is to, as Professor Jain used to say, what is the problem? And I guess that's the big learning. If you ask me that what's the big learning in marketing is, you got to keep asking that question, what's the problem? And I'll give you an example of, when I was in ice creams, where I actually, despite sort of saying this all the time, I failed myself. And I just joined the ice cream business 5-6 years ago, and I was going to Bombay markets, and I found they were small, and I asked people, why don't you keep an ice cream cabinet? And they said, because there's no space. So I said, look, let's go and design a small ice cream cabinet. So we designed this small miniature ice cream cabinet, which we thought was the solution to Bombay outlets. But as we started placing them, we realized that it was 1/3 the capacity, but it was 2/3 the electricity consumption of the regular cabinet. So while it made sense in terms of real estate, it didn't really make sense in terms of the overall economics. So the question I should have asked at that time is, how do I make ice creams profitable for the retailer, not how do I get a cabinet into the retailer? And had I asked that question, I wouldn't have spent the kind of money and had the fiasco that we had with the Chotu cabinets.
Very interesting. And back to your journey, Sudhir, in the context of how you frame your choices, have you sort of found this clarifying in terms of the question you ask leading to a different way of looking at a situation?
I don't know, Deepak. I certainly do a lot of it, and I certainly am very conscious about it, and especially when I'm confused. See, very often, decision making, and we can talk about it later, is actually the crucial secret sauce of management, and one of the key things that Levers teaches you. And a good decision, has to be both intuitive and rational. And often, when you find these in conflict, that's the right time for you to take a step back and say, what is the problem? What is the real decision I'm making? So when the heart and the mind are not in tango for a decision, that's when you know that you've not really clarified the problem. So that's the way I look at it.
No, the reason I ask is in the context of the work I do, sometimes I tell leaders, who are in transition, what are you solving for?
Yeah.
Are you solving for impact?
Yeah.
Are you solving for harmony across domains of life?
Yeah.
Or are you solving for something else? And that determines choices.
That's right.
So till you have that clarity around what you're solving
and it's hard.
for.
I'm saying to raise the question, but all of us, and it's a very hard thing, and it's not an obvious answer on what the problem is. In fact, that's the hard work. And once that is answered, then everything is quite easy after that.
True.